Hey everybody, welcome back to Beatles News Roundup here on Vinyl Rewind. Today we are recapping the news stories from the past month, January 2025. But before we get started, I just want to take a moment and ask you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you to those who already have. Alright, on with the video. Now we're going to start with the news that the anthology singles are getting the AI treatment. Free as a Bird and Real Love were originally released back in the 90s, and they did the best they could to clean up John's demo recordings. Then in 2015, a new mix was made for both singles, further cleaning up John's vocals as well as making a few other changes. But back when they originally recorded those two anthology singles, they attempted to record a third one, which we now know as Now and Then. But at the time, they just couldn't get a clean enough vocal of John from that early demo recording, so they shelved it. That is until 2023 when it was finally released thanks to technology called MAL, which is machine learning. Essentially, it's a form of AI. It can essentially learn what John's vocals sound like and separate it from the rest of the instruments. It was first used for the Get Back documentary. Now, according to an interview with Danny Harrison for the Japan News, both singles will get the same treatment. Danny and Sean Ono Lennon have heard early results and are very impressed. No word yet when these will be released. It could mean that we're going to get a remixed re-release of the anthology series for this holiday season. I know a lot of you were hoping for a Rubber Soul anniversary remix. We don't know yet, time will tell, but let me know what you think. And speaking of Now and Then, the last Beatles song is now nominated for Song of the Year for the 2025 edition of the Brit Awards. This marks the band's first nomination since 1977. In Beatles movie news, it seems like the casting of the Fab Four has mostly been finalized. Though there has been no official announcement of the cast yet, we got confirmation through other means. Earlier, Ringo himself confirmed that Barry Keoghan will play him, and Ridley Scott let it slip that Paul Mescal will play Paul. Noted author and screenwriter Bret Easton Ellis confirmed that Joseph Quinn will play George Harrison. As far as who will play John Lennon, it's still rumored to be Harris Dickinson. He himself has gone on record as saying he doesn't know yet, but he would love the opportunity to play John, as well as work with Sam Mendes. However, don't expect to see these movies in 2027, as they were originally announced to come out. The World of Real reports that director Sam Mendes said he will be busy making these movies until mid-2028, which honestly, it totally makes sense. 4 movies about one of the most iconic bands ever. You don't want to rush that. In Beatles auction news, a very rare Beatles acetate sold for just over $3,000. The 8-inch record was most likely a test pressing for the Capitol Records release of Can't Buy Me Love in 1964. The acetate was originally a prize given away for a Connecticut radio station's art contest and was won by Cherry Pinsky. In other auction news, a pair of John Lennon's glasses sold for $52,000 at a charity auction back in late December 2024. Supposedly, the buyer was none other than Leonardo DiCaprio. In a recent interview with the BBC, Paul McCartney spoke out against potential changes in copyright law in the UK. The changes would allow tech companies to train AI models on copyrighted music unless the creators specifically opted out.
The truth is, the money's going somewhere. You know, when it gets on the streaming platforms, somebody's getting it, and it should be the person who created it. It shouldn't just be some tech giant somewhere. We're the people. You're the government. You're supposed to protect us. That's your job. So, you know, if you're putting through a bill, make sure you protect the creative thinkers, the creative artists, or you're not going to have them.
In other Paul news, he announced the 50th anniversary vinyl edition of Wings' 4th studio album, Venus and Mars. No bonus material is included. However, there's going to be recreations of the stickers that were included on the original release. This is a new half-speed master cut by Miles Showell at Abbey Road Studios, and just like his other half-speed mastered reissues, this one comes with an Obi strip. The vinyl is up for pre-order now and is set to be released on March 21st. Also announced is a new Dolby Atmos mix of the album, which was made by Giles Martin and Steve Orchard. No physical release is planned for that mix, but it will be available on streaming platforms that support the Atmos format. In George Harrison news, the Selby Gardens in Sarasota, Florida will present a new botanical exhibition celebrating his love of gardening. This is part of a series that they do every year, and it examines the work of major artists this through the lens of their connection to nature. Now, this exhibit will feature horticulture displays alongside a selection of George's music and lyrics, as well as excerpts from a book of poems by Olivia Harrison dedicated to George and reflecting on their time together. The exhibit opens on the 9th of February and runs through the 29th of June. There will also be special events with guest speakers during the run of the show, including a conversation with Olivia and another one with Patti Smith. If you plan on going, or if you did go, be sure to leave me a comment and let me know what you think. In Ringo Starr news, on January 10th, he released his 21st studio album, Look Up. The T-Bone Burnett produced record debuted on the #1 spot on both the UK Americana and the UK country charts. Ringo also performed 2 nights at the famed Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee, with a bunch of other guest stars, including Jack White, Sheryl Crow, and Billy Strings. The concerts were originally planned to celebrate the release of the new record, but after the recent LA wildfires, Ringo turned it into a benefit concert for recovery efforts. The concerts were taped and will air sometime later this year on CBS and Paramount+. In other Ringo news, on January 28th, he was on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and during his interview, he confirmed that he's never eaten pizza.
Never had a pizza. Wow. You hear those people in the back go, what? Order curry.
Apparently, there are several items on pizzas that he's allergic to, so he just doesn't take the risk. Overall, it's a fun interview, so check it out here on YouTube. But man, I'm still just trying to wrap my head around the fact that he's never had pizza. In Beatles merch news, we saw some new items celebrating the release of Yellow Submarine, including a 1-ounce silver collectible coin minted in the shape of the iconic Yellow Submarine. It's technically a legal tender $5 coin in the Cook Islands, but with the asking price of $190, I doubt anyone will be spending it there. It's limited to 4,000 pieces and comes in a nifty box. Also available are 2 new Crocs designs inspired by the animated film. Both clogs come with their own unique gibbets, which is an entirely new word for me. Also available separately are 2 additional gibbets 5-packs. I'll be honest, I've never been a fan of Crocs, but even I'm impressed with the look of these. And finally, this past month in Beatles history, 60 years ago, the Beatles performed the final nights of their Another Beatles Christmas show. Now, this was a Christmas-themed variety show featuring pantomime sketches, comedy, and music. It opened in December of 1964 and ran through January 16th of the following year. There were 2 performances each evening, and it featured a number of performers, including the Yardbirds. About halfway through the show, the Beatles performed a sketch where they were explorers in the Antarctic searching for the abominable snowman. Apparently, they didn't like doing this at all. They ended up closing each show with a performance of 11 songs. Unfortunately, these performances were not well documented, but if you can get your hands on a program, you'll be treated to some illustrations by John Lennon. All right, everybody, that will do it for today. Thank you all so much for watching, but I especially want to thank my members over on Patreon. I'm your Vinyl Geek, and I'll catch you on the flip side.